pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Tarzana?
Here.
Ms. Lasko's here. Ms. Barth? Here. Ms. Greider?
Here.
Mr. Steer? Mr. Steer is absent.
Okay. Approval of today's agenda. Any changes, additions?
I have a question on the agenda.
Public comments.
Then it'll be over.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
We have a motion and support for the approval of today's agenda. Number 3, public comments for the agenda items. Anyone would like to make a public comment or statement?
Is that in new business or that's just public comments?
Number 3 is public comments.
Okay, then I have a comment. I have a comment on the agenda. It doesn't say how much time each FOIA appeal will get. How much time is that?
Until they're done speaking.
So it's unlimited. Okay, it's not just the 3 minutes like in the public comments. That's all I
Correct.
wanted to know about the agenda.
But we will be dealing with FOIA Appeal 23-9, and at that point in time, 23-9 will speak their mind.
Okay.
When Appeal 23-8 is on the agenda, then 23-8
I just
will
wanted to
be
know how much time.
making their point. When we get to 23-7, then 23-7 will be the person making the comment.
Yes.
That's how it works.
Yeah, I just wanted to know how much time.
And that's why I'm stating
And
it
it's
the way I
unlimited.
said.
Thank you. I have a question. Can I use this as a question? Or
It's
do I-
public comment.
Okay, well, I just didn't know what place Mike Butz was running 10 minutes behind.
Your name?
Susan Vandenberg from Richmond Township. So is there a way that his number, I don't know what his number is, can be, you know what I'm talking about?
I don't
His
know
number-
who he is.
Mike Butz, okay, I don't know what number he is on the list, so he's running 10 minutes late, he's on the, appeal agenda.
I can't speak for Mr. Butz. He hasn't reached out to this office.
No, I'm asking if it could, whatever his number is, if it could be moved to the bottom of the 3? And you must know what number he matches up with.
This is 23-9. He is the first appeal.
Okay, so I would like to have that, I don't know how.
He hasn't reached out to me. I'm the chair of this board.
He's in the car, he's on his way.
He
He
called
just-
you?
I called him
Oh.
to see where he was.
At that point, then I would we'd have to, make that motion.
Okay.
I don't know.
Is that how you do,
We don't.
just make a motion to,
We would ask, I guess, at the time, Christine, if the petitioner is here, and we could possibly postpone it to the bottom.
Absolutely, you can.
Thank you.
And then-
Yes,
Given traffic and construction, it's a fair request.
yes, we would do that when it gets, but we'll still bring it up. If he's not here, then we'll move it to the bottom.
okay, got it.
Okay?
Now, can I use my time or?
Sure.
Okay, so anyway, I sent all of you an email this morning, at least the emails that I have had about the audio, the audio that I sent you, and I just wanted to play this for you guys as part of your oath to hold up the Constitution, okay?
Sue Vandenberg.
Okay,
From Richmond Township.
pardon?
You're from Richmond
From
Township? you
Richmond
said that?
Township, Sue Vandenberg from Richmond Township. So, I just wanted to play this for everybody. This has nothing to do with attacking you or your office or anybody. It's just about holding up our Constitution.
When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with one another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal stations to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That when any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute a new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence indeed would dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariable the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having a direct object, the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. And to prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very good.
Seeing no other public comments, move on to new business 4A. And I'll reach out to see if is Mr. Butz present in the audience. Seeing he is not, would the board choose to move 4A to 4C and move in order?
I'll make a motion that we move agenda item 4A to 4C and allow the next item to be B, FOIA Appeal 23-8.
I'll support.
We have motion support to move the FOIA Appeal 23-9 to 4C in the agenda and proceed with 4B. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. FOIA Appeal 23-8. Order.
Hi, I'm Mary Valera in Montgomery Township. And I just wanted to say, first of all, that, you know, your office has always been very friendly, and I can't say enough about how well I've been treated by the office for sure, and Lori in particular. My problem with this FOIA request not being fulfilled the way it should have been with the electronic file is, at first it sounded fair that you wouldn't do that because there was concerns about hacking or people being able to get into the file. But then I started thinking about, we were constantly told that the voting machines and the files and things are not connected to the internet. So the very fact that the Board of Elections would say, we shouldn't get that information right away, it looks like they've done something that they shouldn't have, Board of Elections. And so we all know that there's been a lot of back and forth about, concerns about the election process, and I'm just looking for more transparency. Thank you.
Thank you. So Christine Anderson is our township attorney. Could you please explain to the board the rules and regulations set forth by the state of Michigan for the FOIA request for electronic versus paper PDF?
The state has been very, very clear that it believes that releasing the electronic copy of the poll book will hamper the security of its system. And that the security cannot be maintained if the electronic copy is released. And the state has the authority to establish rules and procedures to protect the electoral process. Townships must abide by those procedures.
Thank you.
I just want to add to the board, I did receive an email from the Bureau of Elections that was dated November 14th of 2022. And I also received the same email on May 10th of 2023 from the state of Michigan, specifically telling us as local clerks that we are not able to provide electronic copies. And I did include those in each of the board packets. It is the state system. It's not Ray Township's.
Thank you.
May I address the board?
No.
Okay.
I'd like to make the motion then to recommend that the board affirm the disclosure denial for a digital copy of the electronic poll book, and we recommend the information only be provided in a PDF format.
Support.
We have a motion and support for the denial of the disclosure of the digital copy. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tarzana?
Yes.
Ms. Barth? Yes. Ms. Grader?
Yes.
Ms. Lesko? Yes. Mr. Stewart is absent for the record.
Motion carries. 4B, FOIA Appeal 23-8. That'd be Valerie Allemon, Rami.
Okay, you know me, I have been fighting for election integrity all over the country. I've given up my time, my money, my business, just to come home to a township that is going to listen to a tyrannical government. You know who's running this government, and it's the Democrats that are the ones cheating. If you don't believe there was election fraud in this country, you're living under a rock. Everyone knows that. Memphis Township gladly handed us the information that we wanted, that you're denying us. Why did they do it? Because they want election integrity. If we don't have free and fair elections in our country, we don't have a country. You need to stand up to the bureaucrats in Lansing that are telling you to break the laws of freedom of information, and you just did it. Y'all just broke the law, and y'all just broke your oath. And I'm not happy about it. I've given up a lot of my time, a lot of my energy fighting for free and fair elections just to come home to my own township and have you just shut us down and deny us. That is not fair to the public, that's not fair to the taxpayers, it's not fair to our republic. We are not a democracy.
I wish you would change your mind on this. This is not right. This is our country. Our elections are at stake. If we lose this next election because of elected voter fraud, we lose our country to these pedophiles, these people that want to put porn in schools. It's sick, and you're supporting it by denying us, the good people, the taxpayers. We're not the ones shaking our butts in children's faces. It's sick. Chippewa Valley's supporting it. You want to support that? You support that kind of America? I don't. I don't want porn in schools. But you're supporting it. All of the government says they have to do that. The government says we have to have porn books in school too. You gonna listen to that? Do you want your 5-year-olds reading about porn? You don't deny us today. Tomorrow there'll be porn in all your kids' schools and all your grandkids' schools. They will indoctrinate your children to be transgender just like Satan wants us to be. You are supporting a satanic regime that wants everybody enslaved. You ever hear the 15-minute cities are already coming to Michigan? The UN, that's already in Troy, Michigan. That's the United Nations. That's the New World Order. You know whose name's going on it? The Rhino. That used to be our Republican, yeah, don't remember his name right now. Ron Weiser. His name's going on it. He supports this agenda. He supports drag queens. He supports porn in school. He supports election fraud. Just like all of you do by your actions, saying we're denying your FOIA request because we are succumbing to this tyrannical government. When do good people stand up and say no? You need to stand up and say no to this tyrannical government. That law that she read is not even legal.
Yep.
It is against the law, it's against the Constitution. And by you upholding a law that is unconstitutional, you are breaking your oath. And you all should be fired because you're not upholding your oath of office. Now, the red flag law. Do you know there's sheriffs in this state that said we're not going to uphold it because it's an unconstitutional law. They have balls. They're going to stand up and say no. You're not. You're going to, we're going to go with it. No. And now the state, Whitmer, is going after those constitutional sheriffs that aren't going to uphold that law. We as American citizens have to stand up. If we submit to tyranny, we're done. We no longer have a republic. We're a communist community. And you're all supporting it. And remember that. So if you keep denying us, we're all coming for your jobs because you don't know how to uphold your oath to your Constitution of America. Thank you.
So, Ms. Anderson, is this FOIA request any different than the former one that we just discussed earlier?
It is not.
Thank you.
No lawyer.
Then I would like to make a motion for the denial of the digital copy of the electronic poll book. Recommend the information only be provided in a PDF format.
Support.
We have a motion support for the denial of the digital copy of electronic poll book. Roll call, please.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Ms. Schrader?
Yes.
Ms. Plasko? Yes. Ms. Barr? Yes.
Motion carries. Former 4A, now 4C. Mr. Michael Butz, appeal.
Thank you, everyone. Michael Butz, I live at 3105 McKell Road in Bruce Township, 48065. I brought a whole bunch of documentation that Ms. Clerk Lasko probably forwarded you, but in case you didn't get it, I have it here. I'd be happy to distribute it. But so one of the challenges, I'm not saying there is election fraud or there's not election fraud, but what I will say is that the Bureau of Elections and Secretary of State is violating Michigan compiled law. So they're breaking the law, and really the key items aren't really pertinent to election law, which is Chapter 168. It's got to do with altering public records. So it's MCL 750.248 is the primary offense. That is a felony with up to 14 years imprisonment. Now, I began this process of investigating this issue early on, probably right after 2020. Had some health issues, set it aside for a while. But then, as I've uncovered more and more evidence from activities going on across the state with other, concerned citizens, I volunteered to kind of take the lead in Macomb County and to try to educate all the clerks and township boards and city council people and mayors that you're being instructed through policy and procedure to violate the law. The last thing I wanted to see was good men and women in our community that are public servants that really do want to uphold the law and want to do the right thing by their employer, which is the people in this room, not the state of Michigan. The last thing I wanted to see is any of you face criminal charges, right? So that's why I went around and I met with them. I couldn't get to all the clerks before the edicts start coming down to shut down the information sharing. But I did talk to Ms. Lasko, and I did say, whatever you do, even if you're not gonna approve my FOIA request right now, do not purge these records. Because by doing so, if you purge these electronic pollbook history files, which are the originating records for the election, those fall under 168, those do fall under election law, 168.810, .811, .813. So if you follow these unlawful edicts from the Bureau of Elections, then you've broken the law. And I said to Ms. Lasko, I do not want to see that happen. I don't want to see you drug into a criminal proceeding over taking, unlawful direction from the state. Because, there was something called Nuremberg after World War II. And all those German officers that tried to use the defense, well, I pulled the lever in the gas chamber because I had orders to. Guess what? They all hung too, okay? Now, I have to ask a very important question of all of you. All of you that are public officials, have you sworn an oath of office to support the Constitution and uphold the laws? Has anyone not sworn an oath? I'll take your silence as affirmation that you swore an oath of office. So we the people are the government. As the lady so eloquently put, we're not a democracy, we're a Republican form of government. That is not majority rule. So we have, our inalienable rights are endowed by our creator. And yes, we have a creator. And that's the entity that gives us our rights. We consent to government. We consent to allow public servants to be employed by us to make sure that our inalienable rights are protected. Through enforcement of the Constitution, our founding documents, various laws, code and statute. But at the point where it gets manipulated to the point where we're now on the outside looking in, that people think that we're not in charge, that's when people have to make a stand. And that's what we're doing here. That's what me and the previous two ladies that spoke are doing. And I am putting you on notice that you will be vacating your office if you vote to deny my right under law. So this, I apologize, I didn't give your name, ma'am.
Chris Anderson.
Oh, Chris, and you're with what law firm?
Siebert and Gillespie.
Okay. Does your law firm represent the state of Michigan or Bureau of Elections in any matters?
No, we do not.
Okay, that's good. So, my denial was based on 16.243. No wonder I can't see this. I gotta put my glasses on. So, 15.243, and I believe it was 1Y and Z, cybersecurity. Okay, so that's the claim. So who with credentials have you consulted with aside from the state to verify that the information in that file cannot be provided under this section 15.243? Ma'am, did you retain a professional company or a certified professional to examine the file?
This is the time for you to make your presentation to the board. It's not a question.
Well, the board is doing what you tell them to do, ma'am, so I have to direct my question to you. You're all just doing whatever she tells you.
The board makes its independent decisions as members.
Okay, very
The
good.
motion's made, and it's a roll call vote.
Okay.
if you noticed. We also gave you the courtesy, sir, because you had a flat tire and you were late to move you to
I
C.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
I sincerely do.
What an attitude.
Okay, it's okay, this is hard. It's hard to believe that people in our government would violate the law, but the reality is it's happening. So, has your council, board members, has your council, or have you hired a technology professional, cybersecurity credentials, to examine the file to determine the truth of whether or not that file is a cybersecurity risk? Have any of you done that?
We have not.
Okay, so I will, yeah, you have not. So you have not verified that what I am purporting is true. You're taking the word of the people that are instructing you to break the law. And that's what you're hanging your hat on, okay? So I want to make that point. Number two, has your council advised you of 15.244? Separation of exempt and non-exempt material, design of public record, description of material exempted, section 214.1. If a public record contains material which is not exempt under section 13, as well as material which is exempt from disclosure under section 13, the public body shall separate the exempt and non-exempt material and make the non-exempt material available for examination and copying. Number two, when designing a public record, a public body, to an extent practicable, facilitate a separation of exempt and non-exempt information. If the separation is readily apparent to a person requesting to inspect or receive copies of it, the public body shall generally describe the material exempted unless that description would reveal the contents of the exempt information and thus defeat the purpose of the exemption. So understand that the electronic poll books are the original public record for your election. The fact that we used to, when I started voting, there was a paper poll book. I came in, filled out an application to cast a ballot. I was verified against the qualified voter file. I was then asked for my driver's license to prove I was who I said I am. Once they did that, they assign your voter number 1, you get ballot number 1, they give me my ballot, they record the time, I go and vote. They tear my tab off the top to ensure that the vote remains private, right? And then they put it into the tabulator. When those poll books were replaced by electronic poll books, that now makes the electronic poll book history file the official public record of the election. That is the only source record. You cannot go by some report produced by the state. You, Lori, as we talked about, are obligated under law to retain those records for 24 months.
Which I have.
So you have, which is wonderful. That's fantastic. That's, board, that's not the response I've gotten from some clerks. Shelby Township, Stan Grott said, well, we deleted after 7 days. Okay, so I give Lori a lot of credit for retaining it. Like I told her before, it's gonna get a little contentious over the next few weeks, but at least don't destroy the records. I don't want her committing a crime. She seems like a wonderful person that really is dedicated to following the law. What I'm trying to tell you is, short of you providing me evidence under 244 that specifically explains what is exempt in that file, because I've examined the file. I am a credentialed IT professional, okay? I examined the file that a very brave clerk in Memphis reviewed the law, understood her obligation under her oath of office. She redacted in a matter of minutes, she removed the information that needed to be removed, and she gave me the file, okay? Based on that, we were able to corroborate for a voter named Karen Vermeulen that the state of Michigan is altering public records, that the records at the Bureau of Election do not represent the history of that voter. They are altered, they are fraudulent. That is a felony, 14 years. As I said, MCL 750.248, all right? Now she was shocked because when we went to the police department, I accompanied Karen to the Memphis police to meet with the chief. and file her criminal complaint against the Bureau of Elections. And Karen and I walked across kitty corner to speak with Donna and Amber, her deputy. She was shocked when she found out that so far they are the only clerk's office in the entire county of Macomb that has properly fulfilled my FOIA request. She was shocked. She goes, no, that can't be. At least half of the jurisdictions in Macomb must have done that, right? I said, no, only you. And I want to thank you for upholding your oath of office and for following the law. Because edicts from Lori Bourbonnais or Jonathan Brader or Jocelyn Benson are not law. Election procedures, they have the authority to conduct the procedure of the election. You have a constitutional duty to maintain the public record here locally at the township hall. You need to do that, and it needs to be readily available for inspection. And under FOIA, all right, there's financial penalties for not doing that. Now I have to ask all of you this. What has the Bureau of Elections communicated to you would be the penalty for you giving that file under FOIA? What is the penalty? What are they going to do to you for doing that? I know what can happen by you breaking the law, which you're all prepared to do, unbeknownst to you perhaps, but you are breaking the law if you vote to uphold this denial. I'm making it clear, you know, that you are breaking the law, and it makes my heart very heavy to see, you know, your lives disrupted by this process. But there are almost 100 Macomb County residents filing a criminal complaint against the Bureau of Elections. But now we have a good dozen or so of us that are getting ready to file criminal complaints against the public officials locally that are violating our constitutional rights and are breaking the law by denying us this information. You know, so when you do not uphold your office, have any of you reviewed what the ramification of that is? There's only one mention of it: vacate office. You are bound by your oath that when you violate it, you must vacate your seat. You're bound. You also have surety bonds. The surety bonds provide financial relief to someone like me who is harmed and injured based on your unlawfulness in public office. So I and many others will be filing surety bond claims with your insurance companies because I have the evidence. What was uncovered in Memphis is the same thing that's going to be uncovered here and everywhere else. There's going to be instances where those poll books, which are the official public record that must be maintained by you and made available for inspection to the public for 24 months, they do not match what's in the Bureau of Elections database. That in itself is inherent evidence that they're manipulating the public records because they're held out. They hold themselves out as they're not the official keeper. You are the clerk, Lori. But they hold out to the world that they have all of those public records related to our elections, all the voter history. They hold out to the world. I've seen these public officials on TV saying these are the safest and most secure elections we've ever had in this country. Point is, if you can't even maintain the voter history, how can we even use that for the next election? I can't contemplate, again, I'm not saying there was election fraud. I'm saying either through malfeasance or nonfeasance, public records have been destroyed, modified at the state, and the whole thing needs to be flushed clean, and we need to start over. We need to have a new qualified voter file. People need to register. There's dogs registered, there's cats registered, there's dead people registered to vote. I'm not saying that's happening here because I've not really seen your poll book. But I just implore you, I plead with you, don't do this. Don't do this to us, that we will not, if it's my last breath, I will fight to restore our Republican form of government because it has been completely subverted. And we the people are the government. And at any point, all you need to do is go back to the Declaration of Independence to see what we are entitled to do if a government does the things that is happening in our government today. Okay, you know, the founders used guns and they gave their lives to establish the United States of America, a Republican form of government. our founding documents, very clear. We're a unique country. We're the only country in world history. I don't think anyone under the age of 55 knows this because they don't teach civics. They don't teach real history in school anymore, okay? But we're the only country in history to ever have self-governance. Going all the way back to the beginning of civilization, no government has ever had what we have. We have to hold on to that. We can't let it get stomped out of existence in its first 300 years, okay? So many of us, and for the record, I'm not suicidal. I enjoy life, I enjoy my grandkids, but if I end up no longer with us, with you, there will be someone behind me to continue the fight, okay? So, I would implore you, I'm sure my fellow complainants here that are trying to get you to realize what you're doing is unlawful. I'll speak for them, and they can come up and dispute me. I would table this decision until you can have a better understanding of what your lawful requirements are, okay? I would give you whatever you need, another 30 days, whatever you need. Just know that if you vote to deny my rights to that file without giving it specific from a qualified professional that has credentials as to why giving me that file is a violation of cybersecurity, I will call for all of you to step down and vacate your office. So, and that's not something I want to do, because I know how effective the brainwashing and the propaganda has been through the news media, through the system. I have to believe you're all good people. I look at the best in everyone. I'm a born-again Christian. I believe in forgiveness. I believe everyone should have the ability to confess and repent, and we should forgive them if they've done things that they shouldn't have done. That's just who I am. And I wasn't that way in November of 2020. But I've had, a life-changing event, and God has given me direction. Do you have any questions of me?
Or?
No? Okay. God bless you. I pray you make the right decision.
Thank you for your comment.
You're welcome. Thank you for moving me on the agenda.
Christine, is there any change in the FOIA request appeal than the others?
No, there's not.
Then I would make the motion for the denial of the digital copy of the electronic poll book and recommend the information be provided in a PDF format.
I'll support that. Oh.
We have a motion and support. Roll call, please.
Mr. Giardina?
Yes.
Ms. Grader?
Yes.
Ms. Glasgow, yes. Mr. Ruff, Ms. Bard?
Yes.
Mr.
Motion.
Steer is absent.
Motion carries. 4D, fire radio alarm, chief.
Good morning, board members. As we were having our alarm systems annually inspected, came to find out that both systems from our building here are antiquated. And since we have taken a move to realign our telecommunication phone services to kind of save us some money, it was found out that the present systems will not match up with current technology. So what we did come up with thumb alarm system is kind of like a Band-Aid to get us over until we kind of assess the system, see what we want to do, get more bids to keep our fire alarms up and running. So I think both buildings are in front of you for, I think, $739. I'd recommend that we go forth, kind of put the Band-Aid on, get us some new alarm systems with newer technology. I kind of want to wait till we have a new fire station. I don't want to put that much money into the old fire station since we'll be moving one day soon. We can build that into the construction process.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Is the $739 for the fire department only?
No, it's for both.
No, each.
Each.
For location, I'm sorry.
Each,
Each.
plus the $65 per month for 36 months.
Correct.
So we are entering a new contract with them alarm.
I'd like to make a motion that we proceed with them alarm systems for $739 for the fire department and $739 for the township hall.
We have a motion support to accept the bid by Thumb Alarm for $739 per building for the fire department and township hall, plus a $65 maintenance fee for a 3-year contract. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mark, you've got the Elite Imaging Systems, they've got the quote for maintenance.
Yeah, a little bit more descriptive for the maintenance agreement that we were able to put together, as long as the warranty that is also on there. So it's basically on how much we use the machine is what that maintenance agreement is based upon. Really won't know until we get to the first month, and the salesman said he was, it's not a lot per month, we'll go on quarterlies. So it's on how much we use the machine. So with that maintenance agreement, that is giving us a warranty. So it's basically, as long as we have the maintenance agreement, it's under warranty. And that's parts, toner, service calls, and everything else.
And it was added to today's, agenda because effective June 1st, it would be going up $500.
Yeah.
Correct. So tomorrow it goes up another 500.
Right.
If we act today, we save $500.
Yeah. Plus, they really, we worked with them on the price. They started in the mid 6,000s, and we were able to work them down to 5,000. So.
Well, I'd like to make the motion that we accept the Elite Imaging Systems quote of $5,000 for the new color copy with the maintenance costs in the presented format.
I'll support.
We have motion support to accept the $5,000 color copy machine with the maintenance cost as presented. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
There
you.
you go, thank you, Mark. Closing public comments.
You all know me, I'm Monica Vanderberg. First thing I wanna say is I work with Lori as her deputy clerk. I see that Lori works really hard to ensure that the elections, that there is election integrity here in Ray Township. When I heard that there were discrepancies in the voter rolls, I wanted to learn more about it. I recently went to a meeting where they talked about all this that Mr. Butz talked about, and they showed the evidence that Mr. Butz talked about, where the city and the township records did not match the state of Michigan records. I feel like you were all elected to serve the Ray Township residents. I live in Ray Township, and I feel like the FOIA information should be turned over. As deputy clerk, I feel like we have nothing to hide here. You know, I've worked with Lori, she follows the rules. If the state information is different than ours, I'd like to know why, as a resident. So just in closing, I just encourage you to turn over the FOIA information. If there's nothing to hide, if we're not doing anything wrong, what's the problem? So, that's all I have to say.
Thank you for your comment.
I'm just curious how many people here in the audience want the FOIA request delivered? Double. And our servicemen don't? Okay.
And then you guys.
Just curious.
Up there?
Thank you for your comment. Seeing no other public comments, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
We have motion support, all in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, 7:45.
10:45.
10:45.
10:45.
Kinda curious when they're gonna vacate their office.